Today is proclaimed Earth Day. Earth Day, as we are made of the earth, I believe, should be active appreciation for Gaia in every breath, every word, and action that we take. So, what can I say that those intent to save the earth haven't already said, other than the world needs saving and the earth does not? And bled for centuries into words and actions and protests and pleas in an effort to wake up the sleeping, unconscious, to course correct, to stay in grace, to do the hard things and speak into the truth and the preciousness of what needs to be done and get busy doing. Starting with looking at what we have become and then to commit to co-creating a new narrative, to die well in our final act of a living legacy. We have to save ourselves from ourselves. Though it's difficult at times, wholism is the only way to reconnect to all of nature and the nature of ourselves. We are so intertwined and interdependent on the health of all if we are to be healthy. And until we stop scaring ourselves sick with our own mental chatter and futuring of catastrophe living, and until we stop killing ourselves slowly with our own self-judgment and toxic thoughts, we cannot even begin to do what needs to be done to save others. Until we go into the deep shadows, the dark waters of our own valley of death and do the deep work to heal the trauma bonds and our survival patterns of adaptations. It's a tricky slope in these strange times to integrate the parts and pieces of ourselves that threaten us. We cannot heal the great separation sickness in others if we are feeling separate and alone and exiled in the othering. We cannot meditate ourselves into abundance or hope and pray that things will change. Hope destroys action. We have to do the necessary work. It is our destiny through karmic patterns, through soul contracts, and the fate of the gods have spoken. Are we listening though? So on this Earth Day, ask yourself in deep inquiry, not to get an answer, but to expand your viewpoints of what actions will I take to do God's work? And what does the earth require of me in this now moment? And in the paradox of living human being, what do you require of the earth in a mutual gifting and receiving exchange that is in integrity of reverence to the planet? And as you are part of nature, of the earth and the airs and the waters, where are you seeing and living as separate to those elements that need to come back into true divine nature? It's the essence of who you are. And where do we even begin to start? I've been pondering and lamenting and wailing and demanding because it is too late for a lot of things. The inertia is deep set in humanity. And the troubling thing is that in the 5-year government plans, it's even more of a conundrum of how do we stand in sovereignty and use the power of choice? Is it not bad enough yet to rattle the masses into aligned restorative action? I believe that things will have to get a whole lot worse. And wait, there's more. that will be a sign when things get worse. And as a human, it can be sad, too sad here, heartbreakingly beautiful in a sunset or bird song as the birds are going home now to nest. I so often lose my way, like other dedicated love warriors, to leave this earth a better place than we found it. And I lose myself in despair and anger and judgment and my own flagellation of not doing enough when I see the oil spills and oceans of plastic and land and sea that is so overfished and overburdened that the animals are starving and the plants are dying and the trees are screaming as they crash. And still I drive a car and I recognize I am part of the problem. So I get even more angry and judgy on myself, and trying to find meaning and solutions for my own concerns and what is to be called of me to do better. And then as cycles go, I often fall back into hopelessness and inertia at the state of things past and what will come of us, of it, of the earth. And I wonder if, like you, like me, you have consternation and you have those sleepless nights as we look at a year of enforced pause and fear-mongering. And not that it's coming to an end, but of the billions of tons of plastic PPE, of masks and syringes and waste and glass vials and needles that will continue to be dumped into the landfills and the oceans that are already struggling. And I wonder, what damage and are we causing, and what more strain is this going to have on our poor beloved Gaia of Earth and her elementals? And I wonder often, what is the point of it all? Some days I don't even have a clue. And other days I know with certainty that now more than ever, we must do what we can do with great love. And whilst I have white privilege and first world problems, it is easy to sense and embrace meaning when life is going according to plan, or when there's love and enough money, enough health, enough family and business, and of course internet. And it's easy to navigate around deep grief and heartache and do the necessary work to heal our trauma, our wounds and survival patterns of adaptation, our attachment styles when we're not threatened by war, and where our basic needs like clean water and live food and warmth and shelter are given. That's when we are able to co-create and imagine and invent. That's the second rung on Maslow's theory. And in our belonging, we can do great things that will affect change for a thriving planet when we get up there. But inevitably, life kicks us around and we get exhausted from efforting of getting back up after the school of hard knocks has us on our knees. And that's when we have to bow down and kiss the ground, because yes, it's frightening and disorienting and soul destroying when we see on the news starving polar bears and melting ice caps and dolphins being massacred in Taiji, and elephants in Botswana dying in herds because their bodies just cannot process all the toxins from the oil drilling that leaves their land and their water tainted. And the climate's not changing. It's in the death spiral of total collapse. And that hurts. And what if it's a little more personal when the phone rings and a loved one has lost a child, or a niece or nephew has terminal cancer, and we're sinking in that quicksand. and our souls are crying out. We can't breathe. And yet we do, by necessity, take another breath. Our bodies demand it so. And we can only get back up and start where we are. Again and again and again. Until we leave this fragile mammalian body. Eventually we all will, and return to stardust and become fertilizer for the bugs in the earth and enter into that creation of rebirth and in between and the death cycle again, because we can't do work we soul contracted into doing if we give up. And I think that's the biggest message that I have gotten from the animals and the trees, is that if we don't start taking better care of our own physical bodies, we cannot take care or tend to others. And if we turn away from the uncomfortable images of suffering, if we pretend all is in love and light and things are going to be okay, if we live in delusion, if we spiritually bypass, if we don't bear witness to the atrocities, the genocide and factory farming and tribal warfare, if we don't listen to the destruction of every tree that falls in the forest and the coral reefs that die, and injustices to all creed and color, that all lives matter, human and non-human, nothing will change. We are a self-fulfilling prophecy of death in the cycle. And as Mother Teresa says, we can only do small things with great love and take a breath and receive. And I would add that all takes integrity, and it's not for the faint-hearted. But if we can keep an open heart and forgive those we judge the most, including ourselves, then you feel, don't we, that we can't tell our children that it's too late, because it would kill them and it's killing us. So we keep them engaged, hooked on hope and blind faith. And we take another breath and we realize that it's the children that are saying it is what it is, and what are you going to change or do better with? And they know that hope spoils the taste for the way that it is, and it stops us from doing the deep work. So how can we do better? Well, my soul prayer for Earth Day and every day going forward is to hope for the way it isn't. You heard me right. Hope has a future problem. And we have to hope for the way that it isn't, because there was no normalizing the destruction. So can we stop lying to ourselves that it's not too late? We can't do it if we are respectable, of course. So take a breath into that, and thank you for staying with me, because I want you to hope for the way that it isn't, that we may do the uncomfortable and inconvenient. The earth asks of us that we demand of ourselves. May we hold ourselves accountable to do better. May we bring the spiritual into the ordinary. And may we each take better care of our bodies, because we can't do the work without it. And our minds, that they work for us rather than against us. May we tend to our internal gardens. May we do the shadow work and heal our own personal trauma. And may we change our stories to those that empower, so that we can go out in the world revitalized and cleansed and clear and whole. Because it's going to take a village to reconcile collective trauma and familial trauma and money trauma. And more importantly, so that hurt people stop hurting others. We need to take care of ourselves and to take more care for those that care less. So let us heal our individual separation sickness so that we can stitch together the nature of all life as global citizens, as troublemakers, awake, as borderlands and borderless citizens of this earth, heart-led love warriors, threading our unique gifts into the great tapestry of Mother Earth, of Gaia, the divine nature of all beings. May we learn to live well in our true nature so that we may die well. May we give thanks daily in every tiny action that we take. May we forgive ourselves. May we trust that the divine's light shines on us as I am the light I am, as through us, as the light we each are, to pave the way into the darkness so that we may see ourselves in everything. And may we have reverence and gratitude for Earth, having us in her guest house. May we remember that nature will last longer than our willingness to allow her to appear in our lives. May you keep your heart open and invite nature in to nourish you, to give you the wisdom and the insight that you need so that you may never stop wondering what else is possible, as using your concerns in its hesitatingly, hauntingly, mistakenly beautiful, brutal otherwise, to break the habit of wondering about something out loud without worrying about certainty or judgment. And I thank you for receiving my Earth Day wonderings, my concerns, and my commitment to do and be and know better. And if there is a next time, please meet me there. I love you, I see you, and I honor you on your journey. And if this resonates with you, please like it and share it and comment below. I'd love to know what your Earth Day appreciation looks like. For me, I know that life has been asking of me to make some radical changes, and it's taken me a while to answer the call, to show up again and speak to what I know as best I can, as I've been recovering from adrenal fatigue and nursing my own hypervigilant nervous system back to safety since I left South Africa almost over a year ago. And it's time to connect on a different level and take more doses of our own medicine to practice better energy management and healthy boundaries. And like the little sparrow who was lying on his back, feet straight up in the air, when Horse came along and asked, "What are you doing?" And the sparrow replied, "The sky is falling and I'm trying to help." And the horse laughed and said to the sparrow, "What? How will you help with those tiny little legs holding the sky up?" And Sparrow replied, "We do what we can with what we know, the best that we can, by asking what love would do here." So my legs are up in the air, my brow is kissing the ground, and I hope that you will join me as we move forward in these strange times with more of an open heart and the integrity and the trust and the gratitude to stay, to be here now, and use our small but mighty voices and our concerns to effect the change through those holy shifts. Inch by inch is a cinch, yard by yard is hard. And if we all do that,